We know you love us, but the information on our podcast is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional advice of any kind. If you or anyone you know needs professional help, please seek mental health services. Welcome to the Date Podcast, the show for anyone navigating the dating and relationship world. We interview celebrities, talk pop news, discuss dating do's and don'ts, and debate relationship topics. We are available on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and review if you like what you hear. Check out our website, datepodcast.com, for more information. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hey, it's Zorric,
host of the Day Podcast, and we have a very amazing and exciting show for you. And then I can't speak because I'm so excited about it.
Okay, why are we so excited?
Because one of our favorites is back.
Who?
Mary Miller.
Yeah, she was one of our first few guests.
Yeah.
First or second or third? Something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, but she is here. What is she going to do for us?
Mary, what are you going to do for us?
I'm going to answer all your questions about sex.
Ooh. Oh, and why? Why are we talking about sex again?
Because we have a sex series? Question mark?
It's Sex Month, right?
Oh, is it Sex Month? Is this what you're calling July?
July is Sex Month.
Oh my gosh.
All about sex.
What makes July sexy for you, Zorric?
I think because when you walk outside, you sweat. And that first thing, sweating, is when you have sex. Most people sweat when they have sex, right? Most people do.
I would say if they're getting a good workout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When you have sex, Emma, do you sweat?
What?
Do you?
Huh?
No, because you have had sex before, right?
Pardon me?
I know you have.
What?
I mean, you don't have to be coy about it.
She would glow. I see you as a glower.
Thank you. I do glisten and I do glow.
That's a spotlight on you.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Okay.
Mary's here.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So happy.
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. So, what else? What else are we talking about? Just sex and sex topics and dating and sex.
For sure.
We have some questions from some people that will not name, that will be nameless.
I guess. Fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Zorric's probably trying to put his own questions in there too.
Of course.
Okay.
Why not?
Good.
I'm asking for a friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
The friend's name is Zorric.
Those are the best questions.
Right.
So what's going on today, Emma?
I have lots of information
Okay.
about couples, relationships, engagements.
Okay.
Let's start with the crazy one. I wouldn't say crazy, but let's start with the most outrageous one. There we go. That's a better one. All right. So did y'all watch Hulu? Thank you. I always have to wait. Did you guys watch Hulu? The Gypsy Rose series on Hulu?
No.
Okay.
Gypsy Rose.
Yeah.
Why is it called Gypsy Rose?
So it's not called just Gypsy Rose. This person's name is Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And apparently, a lot of people believe that she suffered Munchausen's by proxy through her mother, which basically means that the parent creates all of these diseases and illnesses that need to be cured on their child, right? Mm-hmm. And so what she did, because it's been on the news, what she did in order to get out of it is that she met this guy online. They were dating, and she basically asked him to kill her mom.
What?
Yeah.
So how is that Munchausen by proxy? Because I thought it was mother to child.
It was mother to child.
Uh-huh.
And so to get out of the abusive relationship, because after she did it, it was because the mom forced this kid to sign, or this adult, I forgot what it was because it was on the show, but basically the mom had control over her forever at this point with this legal document.
So the daughter enlisted the man.
Yes.
to knock off the mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My bad if I had explained that incorrectly. I just got obsessed with it.
I could have not been listening.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So yeah, so she hired the boyfriend to come over and do it to get out. And so while the mom was sleeping, the boyfriend killed the mom.
Wow.
So she's in jail, which was really messed up because she basically like blamed all of it on him and did not take any responsibility of it whatsoever. And so this guy, he was also autistic, and so I'm like, oh, my heart like just breaks for him. So he's in jail for the rest of his life, right? I think she gets out when she's like 32 or something. I don't know how long she's been serving her sentence. So it gets crazier than this.
Is this the whole like thing? Like,
What?
Go ahead. Keep going.
So she is engaged while she's in jail.
Oh, wow.
Prison love. It's real.
Prison love is real. And she posted, so she announced her engagement and let E! Online post their picture on their Instagram and
Yeah.
use, right?
She probably got some cash for
She
that.
probably
she can use
did.
at the prison store.
Did
Yeah.
she get proposed in jail though? I wonder.
I cannot remember. All I know is that they started off like through a mail correspondence, and then so they became like pen pals, I guess. And then he would come visit her, and then all of a sudden the family was like, "Well, she's engaged," and announced the engagement.
It's funny. I can see how that happens. Like, I can see how, your pen pals, it's like romantic. And then next thing you know, you're married to somebody in prison.
That is so weird because didn't OJ have a girlfriend? And a lot of these, like Manson, not Marilyn Manson, but
he's had like groupies.
Yeah.
in prison.
Wasn't it also the Menendez brothers? That
yeah,
were
it's just
married or
crazy.
engaged?
Why do women? I guess women do like bad boys, maybe.
And men, apparently, because this is right?
Yeah, this is a female in jail, and so apparently, what happened? When I found it, he wrote her a letter after watching the HBO documentary about her case, "Mom, Me, Dead, and Dearest," which I also saw because I just got so obsessed with like the Munchausen's by proxy piece and like the abuse, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like,
Because it's fun to say Munchausen by proxy.
right? That's
a long word. Go ahead.
Anyways, so yeah, and the guy that killed the mom, his name is Nick. So he's still in prison without parole, and she's over here like getting engaged and getting ready to get out.
Yeah, that's right.
So
The heart wants what the heart wants.
I know. The other piece to this is that her dad and her stepmother also came to the jail, and I think met him for the first time.
It's a love affair. Love story.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Like, I wonder if they've ever had sex before.
Probably
She's
not.
had sex.
Not in jail, maybe. Like
Maybe-
unless you
yeah.
live. There are some jails that have what do they call it? Conjugal visits.
Yes.
But I believe you have to be. I don't think Texas. I don't know where she's incarcerated.
I can't remember it. I don't remember.
I did know someone that did a conjugal visit
Oh gosh, what?
in another life. I knew someone who did that, and this was in California because I'm from California, and you visit, it was I think her spouse, and it's like a trailer or a
Yes, it's like Arrested Development. Yeah.
and it's outfitted for like a week. It has the kitchen and the bed and all the stuff. Yeah, they spend a romantic weekend in the
trailer.
Wow. So it's like simulating real life. That's so cool.
It's like
I guess.
simulating.
Real life.
I guess.
Do they soak everything in bleach afterwards? Like, who cleans it?
No, it's
How
just like
many
it's
times
just
do
like
you
a hotel
clean
room,
it?
you know?
Yeah, and they say I think that it benefits overall mental health and well-being of the
Oh,
inmates.
really?
There you go.
Really?
There you go.
So-
That's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
less violence, less I guess problems in prison.
After I have sex, I'm not violent. So, seriously.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh my
Go
gosh.
ahead.
So let's move on
Okay.
to a new couple.
Who is this couple?
Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello.
Oh, Camila Cabello?
It's Cabello.
Oh,
but
Cabello.
Everybody says Cabello.
She's really hot. Super hot.
So he is 20 and she is 22.
Maybe. Okay. And then?
So they were seen holding hands over the 4th of July weekend, and apparently they were like out spotted, just like with a bunch of PDA everywhere. And they finally said the timing wasn't right before, it's right now.
What, because he was a
We
minor
are
or
together.
something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, because if you're under 18, like, that's, yeah.
Yeah, that might be wrong.
Well, Shawn Mendes,
But-
he has the pick of the litter, too. I mean,
So-
this guy.
You had an eyebrow up when you said their ages. So what do you think about her being older? Is that
No, I thought they were the same age. So it's, I
Oh,
was
I
reading
see.
it for the first time.
okay? I was
I don't care,
interpreting
yeah.
that as like maybe you didn't approve of older women and younger men.
No, it's not. It's,
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
No, I totally don't marry.
Okay.
If you're a cougar, how dare you be a cougar?
Because I could see you in the cougar territory.
You're not the first person that has told me that, actually. I've had multiple people as soon as I turned 25 that told me that I was probably gonna be single for a while, and then in my 40s I was just gonna become a cougar. I was like, thanks, y'all.
So was
I
there
don't know what that
was
means.
there a story about you at work? You met somebody at work that was quite the young tot.
Oh yeah, so one of my coworkers.
Be careful. She does work.
Yeah. Oh no. I'm working retail.
But still.
No, not
But still.
not at like. So I'm working retail in the summer. Gosh, yeah, Zorric, be careful with that crap. Oh my gosh, I just thought about it. So I'm working retail right now, and it's like there's like 2 guys that work there, and I think one of them is gay, and I have never worked with him, and the other one I think is straight.
Let's hear it. And then what
No,
happened?
it is not sexual at all.
Tell me.
So I keep forgetting that these people that I'm working with are so young.
Uh-huh.
And so nothing has happened. Oh my gosh, both of you stop it right
It's starting
now.
to get good. Go ahead.
So one day I was working, and so one of the guys is like working there, and he's so friendly, he's so nice, and like we were getting along so well, and he was like,
And he kissed
like
you.
had no.
Go ahead.
And he like I was in the fitting room, so like he would just help me like clear it out, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I could just focus on like working the fitting room. So so I told Zorric, I was like, I met one of the people, like I think he's probably gonna be my friend. I was like, except he's like really young. It's like I think he's like 23, which is really gross to me that he's so young. I just don't like it.
Was he cute?
Nothing is happening.
He just sent you the eggplant in a text.
I don't even have his number.
Oh.
I don't have his number.
Darn.
I will say
Snapchat.
though, would I be his age? Had I met him when I was
21.
yeah, I would have dated him. He was
So you have
my type of guy.
You only go up in age instead of down. Is that your policy?
yeah, they can't be younger than my sister.
Who is
30.
okay?
Yeah,
Just so I know.
just so you know.
Just in case.
So what? I'm 32. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll keep you.
No, it was just funny. Yeah, because he's totally someone that I would have dated if like I was in my 20s. But
Okay.
I'm
What's
okay
next?
Not.
No.
Gosh, Zorric, I'm not ever telling you things again.
This is a place. This is a safe space.
Gosh.
Okay.
No, it's not. You just call me out on all my crap. All right. So my favorite couple, one of my favorite couples ever, Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner.
Joe
Yeah.
Jonas and Sophie Turner. Oh, Sansa Fierce.
Yes.
Sansa.
Sansa
Okay.
Fierce.
Uh-huh.
So, they were married for the second time in France, and then they went to their honeymoon.
Where?
They went to the Maldives.
Maldives.
right?
I've heard it Maldives too.
Oh.
Or Maldives.
I'm not reading what you're reading, so I.
Maldives.
But where's the
Well,
that's
yeah,
not the
Maldives.
country.
Yeah,
country.
Maldives.
What's the country?
It looks like it's a remote group of tropical islands
We are not
in the
teachers
Indian
here.
Ocean, 500 miles southwest of Sri Lanka. So I think it is.
Wasn't someone just bragging about her trivia skills?
Oh, she was.
And this is
Geography
how
is not
I
her
get
category.
no, geography is not my category. It's actually pop culture. That's my category. Yeah. Anyways, so they were there for their honeymoon and they were posting these beautiful pictures of themselves, just enjoying life, loving each other. Just love them.
You know, all I can think about if I was dating her is just Game of Thrones. That's all I can think about. And she's very good looking too.
She is very
That's
pretty.
the second thing I can think about.
She also really made fun of the bottle cap challenge I spoke about last time. And
Does Mary know this? The bottle cap challenge?
What is it?
So basically, it's like
that bottle cap right there.
right here.
Or
Like
there.
you would do like a back kick. And then,
yes,
take
yes,
it
yes,
off.
yes.
Yeah.
I've seen this, yes.
But the bottle stays. The point is
Yeah,
keeping the
yeah.
bottle upright.
Yeah.
Could you do it, Zorric?
No.
I'm like,
Hell
no.
no.
even.
Anyway, so she made fun of it because she was like, bottle cap challenge, and she just opens the bottle. She's like, stop doing it. It's dumb. It's like, well, when Jason Statham does it.
It's better than
beautiful.
like that. Was it the cold water challenge where they dumped cold water
I
and
did
like
it.
people died? Or was that the one?
I
No,
didn't
or
die.
like the pod challenge.
Maybe people died from that one.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not.
that's
I
true.
don't know what that is.
They would eat Tide Pods.
Yeah. See who would eat the most.
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't need to prove myself in those ways.
But it's kids.
I'm okay
you
with
know.
my inadequacies as they are. I don't need to do that.
I've had lots of dreams about Mary lately, and I don't know why I've had them. And I told you every time I have a dream about you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. You did. That's right.
I do every single time.
Yeah.
What do you mean
That's right.
dream
Yeah.
about her?
How do I look?
Let's hear.
Great
Let's hear.
and
So what
amazing.
was in this dream of yours?
So in the last one, I'll share
Okay.
the last one that we had. 'cause
Was
it
that sexy
funny.
though? It has to be sexy.
Yes.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Let's hear this.
Not in the way that you think, though. So she and I were hanging out somewhere, and her husband was there too. And I was like, I think I was hosting a party, and so I had two friends there with me. And I was like super excited to show off Mary and Phil. And so Mary's like talking to the group with the other people, and she's like really like, she likes their company so much, and she's like telling them how, you know, because I'm like, oh, Mary's so cool, Mary's amazing, blah blah blah. And Mary's like, yeah, let me show you like how cool I am. And so she puts both of her legs behind her head.
Yes.
Whoa!
Yes.
That is like Sharon Stone
Yeah.
in that one movie.
I think Phil's had that dream too. That's my husband.
Yeah, that's her
husband.
husband. And she was like, how was Phil's face? I was like, I feel like I got like a, yep, that's my wife,
Yeah.
Phil from Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Phil definitely has had that dream.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hold on, Emma, is that a move you do when you're having sex? You put the legs.
Anyways, so back to
I mean,
Sophie
that's
Turner
like
and Joe
from somewhere.
Jonas.
Uh huh.
I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
I
It's
don't
just like
either,
it was so
but
funny to
I love
me.
that you think of me as very flexible.
You're welcome. Yeah, guess what? I'm dreaming. You are very flexible. I like woke up laughing about it too. Like, what was that dream? And you were wearing those like very like retro like outfit too. Like I think it was green and blue if I remember correctly.
Tell me I had good shoes on. That's all
You
I
did
care.
have
Okay.
good shoes on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, we saw. Yeah, we saw your shoes as showing us how flexible you are. It's hilarious.
That's weird.
Red bottom shoes, maybe? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Was she wearing clothes?
Yeah, she was fully clothed.
Okay.
Ah.
Just verifying. just verifying.
Fully clothed for sure because it was in public.
And
Yeah.
look, listen, it could have been a nude beach. Who knows?
Could have been
Could
a
have
nude
been.
beach.
It could have been.
It wasn't though.
Could have been.
So that was my dream about Mary,
Oh, okay.
and I'm done.
Are you done?
I am done. Because I feel like you're gonna be picking on me the rest of the episode. So I
About
just feel
what?
like I have to be
We never
on
pick on you.
defense
No,
now.
we'll switch.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, so there's a new segment that we want to do.
Okay.
It's just kind of a warm up to get us, up and going for our next segment.
Okay.
And the other segment. So this is called I Hate. So what we're going to do is say something that we hate about a certain topic. Just like a sentence. So, Mary, You got a subject we can talk about?
know,
It could be dating. It could be Texas. It could be football. It could be the heat.
Don't get me started on Texas. I mean, I love it.
If you're gonna complain about Texas, I'm gonna complain about California because I found lots of things wrong with California.
Do California then? Let's do California.
There's things to complain about.
Okay. You want to do? What do you want to do? California or Texas?
We can do. I don't care. We can do California.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine, even though it's fabulous.
Oh, is
All
it?
right.
I mean, if
Emma.
you're gonna, why don't you take California and I'll take Texas?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's make it like that.
That's perfect.
Okay.
I'll take
So-
Texas too, though.
Oh, why?
right.
Fine.
All right. Go ahead, Mary. What do you hate about Texas?
The wine.
Okay. I hate the heat. What do you hate about
I
California?
agree with the wine one. I hate the roads in California.
I hate the very small signage, like on a freeway. The signs are very small, and they're called like 6 different things in Texas.
I hate how they call us pretentious. We're not all pretentious. Come on, guys. Are we?
Texas?
No.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah.
I hate the hot flashes in California.
I'm going to go back to the wine for a minute. I hate that the restaurants charge a corkage fee, or no, they don't allow you even to bring in your own wine.
Oh my gosh.
Unless you go to one of those BYOB places.
Yeah.
I hate that.
I hate the traffic and the tolls. I hate it. What do you got?
I also hate the traffic in California.
Lack of sex education.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I hate dating in Texas.
I hate how much gas costs in California.
I feel like I don't know. What else do I hate about Texas?
Is it because you probably secretly love it now?
I've come a long way.
Good.
I've come a long way, y'all. Come a real long way. Let me see. There's got to be something. Oh, I hate that. What is that cheese? Queso. Comes like on everything. Like what? I don't. Like it ruins. And I don't like Tex-Mex. I don't like Tex-Mex.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think
I
you're not
know.
Texan yet.
No, and I probably won't convert. I don't like it.
You know,
Is Phil Texan?
What was that?
Is Phil Texan?
No, he's Illinoisan.
Oh.
I hate that everything has to do with brunch here. All right, last one. What do you got, Emma? Make it good.
I hate how cold it gets at night
In California?
in California. Yeah. I was freezing every single night. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
So we found out things that everyone hates here in this room.
Yes.
Okay, next segment.
Okay.
This is a couple questions from just online that I'm going to ask Mary and Emma, and just want to get your thoughts on what you guys would do in this situation. Okay?
Okay.
They're easy
what
questions.
I would really do, or what Mary the therapist would do?
We need to talk
It
about that.
depends
What do you
on
think,
if it's
Emma?
2 different things because
Yeah.
a lot of times, like, I feel like mine went really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did we do last time? Did we do just our take on things and our recommendation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Since this is Sex Month,
Okay.
this will be sort of a sexual question. Not too sexual, though. I mean, don't take off your clothes, Emma. It's not going to be that sexual here. Let's see here. We will... I'm looking for something. I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. The first time you have sex with a new man, he comes really fast. This has happened to me the first time I've had sex with the last 2 men I've dated. First time nervousness? I'm new to dating after a 9-year relationship. I forgot and didn't realize how quick men are to come. Last time I had casual sex, I was in my early 20s and it didn't seem so fast. Is it an age thing? That's her question.
How old is she?
It doesn't say here.
So it was 2 times with two
Yeah.
different partners.
And they came too fast. And she is newly single, just came out of a 9-year relationship.
Okay.
So she's like, so why do guys come so fast?
You're asking us this question, Zorric? I'm kind of thinking maybe
You should
might answer that
we
question.
don't have penises.
You don't know? I mean, I think for one, it's the excitement. Number one, right?
Okay.
Because it's hard, literally. It's hard to contain that when you meet somebody new. I think, yeah. That's my take. What do you guys think? That's it. Emma.
I don't have a
no,
penis.
you need to. So the first time you have sex with somebody and it's like quick, like how would you feel? Like how do you feel about that?
I'd be a little disappointed.
Yeah, because that's what from what she's saying here, she seems kind of disappointed. Like I wanted to have sex, I wanted it to be longer, maybe more passionate or something else, but it was just quick.
Yeah. Well, and she did I hear it right that this was a hookup?
Yeah. Well, dated. That's also-
Because I think, I mean, men do have that problem. Sometimes I've, had those men as clients. But I guess I would want to know the more about what were the parameters of the relationship. But yeah, I can understand why she's disappointed. I mean, and then I want to know, like, is that all that happened? Then did he get her purse and her coat and like
Like,
show her to the
bye.
door, or was there like maybe round two? Or-
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
he bring out the dessert? Did he bring out another cheese platter? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's normal. So for this person asking this question, I think it's okay.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe more foreplay, because sometimes when you just get down to business, I mean it can be lights out quick. You know what I mean?
It's been very rare to find a guy that enjoys foreplay.
Wait a second. What kind of foreplay? What do you mean? Like
Like a lot
oral.
of times I feel like the moment they get oral, it's like, let's get down to business. And it's like, no.
So my guess is that the gentleman that had that experience probably felt a lot of anxiety
Yeah.
around that. And, I kind of feel bad for him. I'm guessing that wasn't his plan.
Is it ever your plan to finish that quickly?
Hell no. Like I want to be like a porn star, but it never happens. It never happens.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the goal, huh?
That is the goal.
That's where you're hoping this goes.
That's what we strive to be, and it never happens, and it ends with crying and laughing. No, I'm just kidding. We don't. No one cries. Okay, so in this situation, I'd say have more sex, because there's other guys that can last longer. I think that are more experienced.
Well, I don't know what she was wanting from that situation. If it was just a hookup, then it's kind of Russian roulette.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's like it's the box of chocolates.
Yep.
It's the box of chocolates. You don't know.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more.
Okay.
Quick one. I had a work accident on Friday, and I had to have a particular part of my finger amputated. I know it's incredibly vain, but really I want to be able to function as normal, so there's only aesthetics to consider here. I still have the top joint. They thought they made to remove my whole finger at the start. I have 10 to 15 millimeters removed from the top of the finger and no fingernail remaining. Would a woman having the top tip of her index finger missing make you significantly less attractive?
I have no idea how to respond to that.
I'm trying.
No, I don't. Again,
Like her finger
would
is
be
cut off.
this?
Her finger's like cut
I
off.
don't think so. I mean, how is it even? She's probably way more focused on it, and it has way more meaning to her
Yeah.
in her life than it does to other people. And honestly, if she meets somebody that matters that much to, she needs to
Not date them.
keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if a
I
guy,
think it's because it's so new right now. She's very stuck in it. This is sort of like the end of the world for her.
Yeah. Well, it's a loss. It's a grief.
oh yeah,
She's going through. Yeah.
yeah,
So maybe wait to date a little bit longer.
yeah. I think as a guy, I don't think it matters. To me, it doesn't matter.
And if it did, keep dating.
Yeah.
That's
For
not the
sure.
right guy.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I had to dig deep for that question.
I
was
was
a
like,
little
whoa,
depressing.
Was it a
where
little
was this
depressing?
going?
I know.
Okay,
Like,
You
are
know what I
worried-
do. I don't.
Like, are you
do-
worried about like not being able to like put your finger somewhere? Like,
That's
what
where
is
that's
the
where I thought it was
concern?
going. I'm like, when do I hear anus in this question?
Okay, one last one. I'm serious. Had a date tonight. I picked the restaurant. I didn't look at the bill, but based on the menu, it should be easily $100. I offered to share when the bill came up, but he said he would get it. I asked, "Are you sure?" To which he confirmed. So I didn't persist. I thanked him and let him pay. A little after I got home, I got his text saying he didn't feel the chemistry. I thanked him for letting me know and wished him good luck. Now I'm thinking
Yeah.
maybe I should pay him
No.
back my share,
No.
or is it
No.
even stupid to bring it up?
No.
This is two separate data points, and she's conflating them. Like it's two separate things.
Uh-huh.
So one thing is the paying for the dinner, which she offered to do.
Twice.
And then the other thing is there's no chemistry. And she's taking those two data points and pulling them together to make a story out of it that is probably not true. So that's my
No.
take.
Yeah.
And if he Venmos you, you better ignore that crap. You better cancel it. Which I don't think he would still.
Yeah, most of my dates are about $100 anyway, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's my loss, or it's the guy's loss, right?
It is such a weird thing because like I felt myself going, yeah, he should pay. And then I'm like, but wait, I'm a feminist. And then I was thinking, well, what's he expecting after this? So I think it's still the dating dilemma that hasn't always caught up with where women are. Because I feel my own bias. I'm like, yeah, you should pay. But then I'm like, wait a minute. I make my own money and I can pay. I don't know. It's a dilemma. I can in my head. And yours?
Nah.
Emma doesn't, she's like,
You don't have any issue with it. Yeah.
None.
Okay.
even if it's over $100. Nope. That
What? How do you see it as the man?
I
The man.
I'll do the
here.
dance. I'll go through
Yeah.
the motion of the dance. I really have no intention.
but I think Southern guys, we're gonna buy anyway. I think.
Yeah.
But we had a guest on. Her name was Michelle, and she was saying that Southern guys are more gentleman-like than Californians. Is that true? You think?
I don't even know if it's about. Well, the region may come into it. I also think it's generational. So, I don't know. Like, I mean, I only dated in California, and I didn't pay for a lot of my dates, so I don't know. But I'm also older than probably a lot of your listeners, so I don't know.
Okay. Well, let's think about that, Emma.
But would you didn't answer? Like, when a woman doesn't offer, what's your take on that?
I'm not even like literally. I'm not thinking about even the money. I'm thinking about, oh, do I like her? Does she like me? I'm thinking about other things.
I
Okay.
think about
Yeah.
the logistics aspect. Of
Yeah, like where do we go next? Will I get a second date? Just stuff like that. But that's just me. So, but I think in Texas we usually pay no matter what. Most of us do.
So my husband paid for our first date, and then I insisted on paying for the second.
Really?
Insisted.
How did he take it?
He was like very uncomfortable, but I was like, I don't know what you think this is, mister. But just because you're paying for my dates doesn't mean you get all of this. So yeah, I insisted. And then after that, I got over it and let him pay for the rest of the dates. But yeah.
Yeah.
I
Money-
just think that just speaks to him, like his patience.
Yeah.
And, you know.
But Phil is like so old school. Like if we go out with other females, he won't let any female pay.
Oh
on the
wow.
table. So, which I find incredibly attractive. I don't know.
That's kind of hot. Can you guys take me on a date
So it's
too?
so funny because
don't know
like
that
there's a few group of us, right? And we're always like because the last time that we hung out with like Mary and Phil collectively, and the irony of it was at a baby shower. We like there are other friends and we're like, we need someone like Phil, and so we're like, Phil, like what do we need to do? Like where do we need to go to like find these men to like? embody these values that you have, because like you and Mary have such a great relationship, and I know that you guys have worked at it. We know it's not magical, but there's like things that we like value that you do.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I think for him, it's about, it's his way to take care of, like it's caring for, caretaking. And, you know, I like to be.
He's acts of service, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'm presence, so it just totally
It works out perfectly.
It totally works out. Yeah. Bring me a present.
See, someone else.
Wait a second. That's a pretty good theory. So, like, you don't always have to match. Like, my thought was you always have to match the same.
And the love
like,
languages?
Yeah.
No.
But you're saying that if, I guess, one complements the other. So if I am physical touch, what matches that? Or what complements that, if anything?
Well, to me, it's not so much that it, I mean, maybe I don't know. The first thing that comes to my mind is quality time, but it's not that they have to complement. It's the awareness of the other person, so that you can be more intentional about demonstrating that or showing it. So, you know, like for Valentine's Day, I could literally go in and make the bed, and my husband would be like, "Oh my God, thank you. You made the bed," because that's something I never do. And he always does it. And that would be the act of service. And I'd be, and if he makes the bed, I'm like, yeah, okay. So where's my present? Is there a present? But when we're out, like, for me, him buying a meal is a gift. And I, you know, always show gratitude. Actually, thank him. He doesn't have to. Even now, if we go out and we have, you know, joint money together, I always say thank you so much for dinner. I appreciate that, because he doesn't have to.
Yeah, that's so nice. And you guys have been married for how long?
I hate this question because I always since 2006.
Oh, okay.
So,
13 years.
yeah, 13 years.
What do you not like about the question?
Because I never remember how long we've been married. I'm like,
you should have a tattoo
like,
somewhere
how
that says the
long
date.
has it been? Yeah.
So Mary's here not because
Yes.
she's Mary. We love Mary, but
Well,
she's
we love
also
Mary.
an expert in all things relationships
Yeah.
and sex. So what's your you've been here before,
Yeah.
but just to remind everyone, all the new people, like what's your specialty and stuff? We know sex.
So I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I primarily work with couples, infidelity recovery, sex therapy, and really anything relationship oriented is really what I do.
Okay.
So
Okay. How long have you been doing this?
I have been doing this. Oh my goodness. Why these days?
2015, I think.
Is that it? Yeah.
Is that when we graduated?
So 4 years.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what do you because last time you were here, I asked a lot of raunchy
You
questions.
did, and
did.
she
But
ignored
I was
you.
like,
did.
but I was like, okay, I learned something that it's not
Okay.
all about the sex, but today it is.
Right.
It is all
Right.
about the sex.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask you some questions that we've asked friends, and we have listeners that are asking the same things too.
Okay.
So all of our listeners are single, between 25 and 40, split between Texas and California, and actually they're mainly female. And so I see this question a lot, and I get this asked a lot. It might be an easy question to answer, but when do you bring sex into a relationship? That's like the most asked question to us. Like when do you start having sex?
Right. And I get this question too. And when I saw that as the first question, I was like, of course it is.
Yep.
And the hard thing about that question is there's no general one size fits all answer, which is probably the thing that people find frustrating about us therapist types, because we don't give one size fits all. So I don't know if you remember the last time I was on the show, I talked a lot about values.
Yes, you
And
did.
understanding what your values are around sex. And, it differs from client to client. So I have some clients who think sex is strictly just for physical release. They don't really see it as, deeper emotional connection, and they would have sex. They wouldn't even think of that question. So for somebody asking that question, I'm guessing that sex has more meaning, that they feel more bonded or connected to somebody. And so I'd want to know, do you know where the other person is? Like, what does this relationship mean to them? Are they just, dating to date, or they see this as a relationship that's going further. And then, one of the rules of thumb I have is like, if you can't talk about sex with a person, you're probably, it may not be time.
Wait, hold on. So when do you talk about it? Like, do you have a conversation, Emma, before you have sex? It just kind of happens, right? Usually.
Well, I don't know, like, because I'm assuming that the person asking this question there's more meaning into the sexual encounter. Now, that's an assumption I'm making, so I don't know if that's true, but I'm assuming that has more meaning.
Yeah.
And so in that case, maybe they are dating longer. So what does sex mean to you? Like, what does it mean to that person asking that question? Does it mean you're in a serious committed relationship? Does it mean this is somebody you might marry? Does this mean this is somebody you're going to be with for a while? So I guess those are the questions that are going on in my head. And if it's no, then are you comfortable having just a more casual sexual encounter where you might not talk about sex with a person? Mm-hmm. But I guess that's dependent on the individual and what their values are around sex.
Yeah, I don't know how Emma feels about this, but sex to me, I feel semi-committed at that point.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah.
So, so for people who have that feeling, then there may need to be more conversation about where the other person is. So at least you have some idea about where are you emotionally in this relationship. Mm-hmm. Because if you are somebody who experiences more commitment, or you feel more bonded to that person, you have sex and then the relation terminates, you are going to have some difficult feelings to contend with. And then the question is, let's say that does happen. Like, are you in a place where you're okay with that? Like that you can take care of yourself, or you have a support team of posse of people who are going to take care of you if that happens.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the first time sexual encounters, I'm generalizing, this is probably so wrong, but I feel like a lot of people regret it because maybe they were just in the moment, or they were drunk, or and that's one of the questions here. Like, what if we have to sex too early but end up regretting it? I mean, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, and again, I'm like, I want to ask that person more questions about what the specifics, and I know I can't do that. I don't know that my answer changes that much in the, like, what do you regret about it? Do you regret the sexual experience itself? In other words, that it wasn't satisfying? Or do you regret the person that you had sex with? In other words, you found out more information about them that makes you regret that experience? Or do you regret it because the relation ended and you feel uncomfortable with your choice? Mm-hmm. So I guess it depends on those factors. I don't know. Thoughts from the table?
No, yeah, for sure. Because if, like, every single scenario, it's like, what if this person, I found out they were a murderer?
Yeah. or they have an ex-girlfriend they're still sexual with, or they
are
have a disease or something.
They're just separated from their, they just recently separated, and he's technically like still divorced. I mean, still married.
Right. And the reality is in dating that, you're dating human beings, and when we date, we're trying to make the best decision possible based on the information we have. And human beings are kind of risky prospects. I mean, they don't always behave in the ways that are predictable. And so to me, the question isn't like, the thing to consider is, will I be okay if this doesn't go well? And like, am I still going to feel good about myself if this doesn't go well? Or, how will this affect my life if this doesn't go well? How is it going to impact me if this doesn't go well? I mean, so those are the questions I want to ask the person.
Yeah, and I've been on both ends where, I've had sex with somebody and did regret it because we ended up not working out, so I had to break it off. But on the flip side, I've had sex with somebody that I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to be in a long-term relationship, and she broke it off with me. But in that case, I wish that we didn't have sex and we could have just kind of skipped that, and she would have told me up front that, hey, it ain't going to work out, buddy, right?
So for her to tell you up front, you would have had to ask the question.
Oh, I know.
And And a lot of people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of what they're going to hear.
What question? What question?
Like, where do you see this relationship going?
Uh-huh.
Or I think even, for men to say, I feel, because I think we have a gendered stereotype about this. I think that socially or our culture thinks that women bond through sex and that men may not. And that's not true.
Right.
Because both genders are producing oxytocin. So the possibility of bonding exists for both genders. Not that both genders always do every time, but that possibility exists. So I think I don't know how comfortable men feel just saying, hey, where do you see this relationship going? But I can tell you as a female, a man who asks that question, I think seems more mature and attractive because they are thinking about it.
Yeah.
And they're thinking about how the relationship might affect them. And I think for women, I think sometimes maybe we give males too much power and we don't take control of the conversation the way we should. And so, asking those questions just asking like, where do you see this going? I don't think that's,
But I think if you ask that question, like day one, first date.
Oh yeah. Well, is this person going to be sexual day one? Because then they may be setting themselves up emotionally for some difficulty.
Yeah.
Well, I think that also just like it goes into the other question that we've had people ask us. It's like, is sex on the first date okay? And it's like, well, it depends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It depends on you.
Yeah. It depends
on your partner.
Exactly. And some people are very comfortable with being sexual right away.
Mm-hmm.
They do see it as a physical release or just, a fun activity.
Right.
Just like, salsa dancing or something. It's a fun activity. And so they are not going to feel emotionally conflicted if the relationship doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
If you're not one of those people, you probably need to take more time to learn more about that person because otherwise you're setting yourself up. You need to be protecting yourself emotionally and psychologically. And that's really up to you, not the other person.
Mm-hmm. And I think you answered a couple of my next questions, but do men get attached when they have sex with women? You talked about oxytocin.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I had that. But I have oxytocin.
You do.
What is that?
Brain chemicals.
It's a feel-good hormone that is produced that elicits or supports bonding.
Okay.
So
it's anything then, you're saying?
Well, it comes through touch. So when we are physical, when we have close contact with people, and I think there's actually a time limit. I can't remember what it is. I want to say 5 minutes, but I don't know.
Like touching somebody for 5 minutes?
Yeah, like if you're being close with somebody, I want to say it's 5 minutes. It takes like 5 minutes for that hormone to start being stimulated or I don't know, activated. But anyway, yes, both men and women produce oxytocin. And can feel a closeness. It doesn't mean that will always be a byproduct because I do think some people compartmentalize and they're able to be sexual and not feel an attachment. And that's fine as long as everybody knows that that's the deal. I think that's when you run into trouble is when people don't know that that's the deal.
Yeah. So the short answer is yes, like men get attached.
Yeah.
And maybe that's still, you're talking about the stigma, right? In the movies, men are macho. What do they call it? What's the Spanish word for a macho man?
Macho.
Machismo?
Machismo.
Well, that's like the.
Yeah.
That's like the set. It's like it's a macho man.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say. Because él tiene, like, he has machismo.
Oh, but just a man's man. But that's what we see on TV, and we do have feelings. I think we all have feelings, and I get attached, and I'm sure most guys do. But I think most guys don't know how to communicate that they're attached.
Right. Well, there's. This is not my own idea, but I heard it and I thought it was good. So, there's this notion that masculinity is hard to earn and it's easy to lose. And so I think in our culture anyway, the ways that masculinity is safely expressed is through anger or competition, aggression of some sort. And so for men to express the softer emotions, I think may feel threatening to their masculinity. So they may keep that under wraps until they're in a secure place relationally, unless they're just very evolved men like you, Zorric.
Oh, definitely.
He's only become involved because he's been hanging out with all of us all the time.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's true.
That was music.
Had I not met you
That is true.
when I met you,
So the audience probably knows by now, but I have a lot of therapist friends, and I learn all these things from these great women, which is awesome. And I'm so...
you're part of like
Yeah.
the
I'm a better
husband
man.
boyfriend club that just like has to sit there and put up with it.
So let's cut down to the chase. Does size matter?
Oh my gosh.
Still on this question.
Sorry.
I got this from somebody, okay? I'm just asking again.
So the thing that's so interesting about this is that in terms of so when I talk to couples, most couples that come in for sex therapy say that their objective during sex is to have an orgasm. I would say most.
Is that true? That's for me.
I would say
Emma? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I'm agreeing.
Okay.
the thing is that in terms of orgasm, if and I'm talking about heterosexual couples, I'm
Right.
not talking about gay and lesbian couples right now. But so if you think about penetrative sex, I think it's only 20%. And you can fact check me. I don't know. I think it's about 20% though. 20% of women achieve an orgasm during penetrative
Right.
sex. And so the size, I guess, for, the vast majority of people, and even maybe for those 20%, really doesn't matter. Because for a woman to have an orgasm, they need direct clitoral stimulation. Most women. I'm going to speak in generalities. Most
Which
women.
we, spoke about this last week too.
Right.
It was, yeah.
And the placement of the clitoris is different on every female. And every vulva is different. So, does size matter? I don't, that just goes down to preference.
That is the answer, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It just depends on a person's preference. And I don't know that it's going to necessarily equal greater sexual satisfaction for a female. Basically.
And the same person who asked this question also gave me an example of her friend and a guy she dated was way too big and like it hurt.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just, like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
it just depends.
Right.
And so I guess lubrication, lots of that.
Or maybe there's a vagina that's just the perfect size for his penis.
Maybe there is.
Maybe
there is. Yeah.
There is. This listener said she wants to have sex. It's kind of jumping around, but I might get scared. My heart might get broken.
I know. Right? It might.
And I'm guessing there's her past relationship, some trauma, right? Right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, yes, sign me up for the heartbreaking. I want it. I want more of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is related necessarily to sex. I think it's just relationships in general. You may get your heart broken. And so I think when somebody comes in and they're avoiding dating or they're avoiding sex or they're avoiding that part of their lives, the question I'm asking them is similar to what I said earlier, which is, what is it that you need, or what do you have in place that's going to support you through something painful? Because humans are risky propositions, and it is likely that when you enter a relationship, whether it's with a friend or that you open up to, or with a romantic partner, that you may risk getting hurt. That's just a byproduct of being a human being. And so if you feel like I can't stand that idea or I can't have that happen in my life, then I would suggest that you maybe think about going to therapy, because that may be something that you can work on and start to help yourself become better prepared for the peaks and the valleys of life and relationships.
And what if you get into a relationship and your libidos just do not match up? Like someone is high, someone's low, medium maybe.
What if? So this is probably, of all the couples that come in for therapy, I'd say 80% of them come in with this issue.
Wow.
If they're coming in for sex therapy. And the reality is that if I or any sex therapist really had the 100% fail-proof antidote for that, we would be incredibly wealthy, and I would have charged you an exorbitant fee to even be on the show. You couldn't have afforded it, and I would have been like, I'm so sorry, Emma. I know we're friends, but I need my fee. So,
how much wine?
Right. And so, really, like when I get this couple, and it's so hard because, and what we're looking at is like, what is the meaning that you're making of this? So, if you're the person who wants more sex in the relationship, what is the meaning of it that your partner doesn't want more sex? Does it mean that you're not attractive? Does it mean that they don't really love you? Does it mean that they don't really care about you?
They feel like they're not attractive.
Right. So like if let's pretend you and Emma are a couple. I almost said you and me, and then I was like, no, I'm married. That's weird. I can't do that. So if you and Emma were a couple, and Emma was like, I want to have sex all the time, and Zorric is just not cooperating.
Emma,
That's
I want to have sex
before,
tonight.
Actually.
Emma, I want to have sex tonight.
No.
Okay,
so
in the example, yeah,
so
sure.
we're role
in the
playing here.
example, yes.
We're role playing.
Example, yes.
And so you're the one, Zorric, you're the one that wants to have sex all the time.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Emma's just like not having it.
Yeah.
Not having
So
it.
tell me what it means to you that she doesn't want to have sex with you.
I feel like she doesn't want me anymore. I feel like, she might look for something else.
She might look for something else.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want you anymore, so that might mean what? You're not desirable?
Yeah, I'm not desirable.
And if you're not desirable, what?
Then I feel like less of a man, and like.
And if you feel like less of a man, what?
Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say.
And actually, so seriously, those are the questions I would ask, and we keep going and going and going. I mean, there are certainly therapeutic modalities to help couples with this, but it is very common that desires are mismatched. It's very common, and it doesn't. I think the thing that, well, I don't know. Is it that you're not attracted to him anymore? Let me ask you, Emma. Like, what?
No,
is
I
it?
find him very attractive. I come home and I'm just so distressed about work that I just want to watch Real Housewives.
But I want her to keep work at work. Do you hear that?
Well, it's really difficult for me to keep work at work sometimes.
Right. And so what does it mean to you that you have a husband who wants to have sex all the time?
I appreciate it.
Oh, so you feel grateful.
Yes. I just don't have the energy for it.
So you feel overwhelmed?
Yes.
So
I do feel overwhelmed.
we were watching TV, me and my wife, the other day,
Oh,
and we
okay.
saw this
I thought you were
commercial.
going somewhere with it.
now
Okay,
you're married. Okay.
Oh, now we're married.
We watched this commercial. It talked about Celibacy. It's this female
Oh, yes. I've heard.
Viagra.
You're
Can
gonna
we
slip her some in there.
can we just force some down her? Just
No.
kidding.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't read the results of the trials, but I think it was
they were
a
not
little,
good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
they were
I
not
read
good.
the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So is this what typically happens? Like
I
in
mean,
your
yeah. So it does. Like again, before I like prescribe, and I'm using quotes for
Yes,
people
she
at
is.
home. Before I prescribe, a treatment plan, I'm wanting to understand what does it mean that your partner doesn't want this thing, because a meaning is just the story we give the situation. It's the narrative we tell ourselves.
Brene Brown says, the story I'm telling myself is...
Yes, and I actually have clients use that same verbiage because it's so powerful.
Right.
And the reality is that in the course of our lifetimes, our sexual desires may ebb and flow, just depending on what we have going on, depending on our biology, the stressors in our life, and various things. And so it's the more comfortable we can be with, this isn't an indictment on me, the partner, if my partner doesn't want to have sex. I think then the easier it is, not easier, but the more useful it is for the couple then to talk about how do we solve this problem and come up with solutions that work for us.
Because in our scenario, in our example, it's more about me just like feeling overwhelmed and I'm so tired and I feel like I have to take care of everything that like having sex with you is on the back burner. Like that's not a priority because I feel like everything else has to be a priority before that.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And by the way, happens to both genders,
Right.
because I think we have a stereotype that says women don't want to have sex and men are always ready for sex. And I can tell you 100% that is, I see it on both sides of the gender. It's not always women. Very often men come in that are not wanting to be sexual. And I think the sad thing is that they're like, no, I find my partner attractive. I find them desirable. I just am not feeling sexual. And so, we kind of look at the lifestyle, what are the other stressors in their life? And then sometimes it's just, biology. Like for men, as they age, their testosterone levels do decrease, which can affect their desire for sex. Not that they don't want to have sex at all, but it just may diminish as they age. Not all men, I'm speaking generally, but and then I think women too experience ebb and flows throughout their lifetime. And typically for a couple, after they have children and they have more responsibility, more fatigue, and I cannot say that enough, like fatigue is a big inhibitor to feeling sexy.
Yeah.
Then, a couple will tend to have less sex.
Yeah. And on the topic of, I guess, wanting to have sex when you're older, we have a question here that says my guy is much older, but sometimes doesn't feel up to it. So it could be the testosterone or being busy. But then I also saw another question where it was like, I dated some other guys. I wanted to date older men because I thought they were more mature, but they were just as horny as the ones that were like in their 20s.
Well,
So
it depends.
And a lot of, I talked to a lot of men who take testosterone because they do experience a diminish in energy and they want to feel more energetic. So, there could be other factors. But yeah, I don't know that, there's the natural course of thing. As men age, typically they have less testosterone. As men age, their erections may change. They may not be as firm. They might not orgasm every time they have sex, actually. And
really?
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Really? That
Are
can
you
happen.
Is
scared?
that going to happen? No.
But it's just normal. It's not any big deal. And I think what happens is that because we really don't know a lot of information about our own bodies, that when those things happen in our life, we take it to mean something else. Like I'm not attractive anymore to my partner, or I'm not desirable anymore. And it does not necessarily mean that. It could just be a natural part of the aging process. It could also be that the relationship needs some help. That could happen. So if it's really problematic in a couple's life and it's really causing a lot of distress, I would encourage them to go talk to a sex therapist who could be helpful and help them figure out what it is in their relationship, why it's showing up in this way.
Yeah. And I think you're totally right, because when I was 20, I wanted to have sex like every day, like flight of the bone, like every minute. But as I got older, I feel like, I think less with my penis and now with more of my brain, right?
Wow,
and then so I'm not always like boned up as I used to be. But I can tell like my drive is not the same.
Yeah.
What about you, Emma, as you've gotten older? Is it the same? No.
It's so funny because there were times when in this past relationship where it was always like I was always the one like wanting it like all the time, and I didn't know if it was to like make up for lost time or so I don't know.
I don't know.
Because
but I always found myself like wanting to have sex more than the other person.
Yeah. Is that a myth though? You hear that like women are more like have a stronger sex drive when they get older. Is that true? Have you heard that before?
Yes, I've heard that. I think that's. I think what happens for women is that as they age, they feel more comfortable with themselves, and they feel more comfortable with that. I think they feel more comfortable expressing their sexuality. They feel more confident. Not all women, for you women out there,
right? Yeah.
But I think
the majority,
I think that's why there's that that belief, and I think it's just because I can tell you as somebody who's not quite 50, but knocking on the door. She looks 21. Everyone. Yes, exactly. Yes, I do. I don't really care what like, I'm very comfortable saying what I think and what I want.
For sure.
And I definitely don't think I felt that way when I was in my early 20s or even, you know, mid 20s. And I kind of think the world couldn't handle someone who, I mean, when you think about, like, I don't know if I knew how attractive, I think you know, when I was younger, if I really felt how attractive I probably was when I was younger. I mean, I don't know. Now this sounds weird, and I felt very confident about it. I mean, I think I would have gotten into a lot of trouble. I already got into a lot of trouble. I think I would have gotten into a lot more.
You're very attractive.
Oh,
to
thanks,
this day.
Emma.
You're welcome.
But so I don't know. Now I'll just shut up.
Like,
I'm
I get
rambling.
it. Like, no, I get it. Because it's kind of like, had you felt so comfortable in, like, that potential.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't
what the
know.
world would have been ready at that point.
Yeah.
And then part of me thinks is, like, I'm so happy that we don't have our whole, like, prefrontal cortex at that moment because stuff would burn down.
Yeah. but like, when when I think about, like, the women I see, there is a shift as women age, whereas I think when women are younger, they're not sure they should speak up about what they want sexually or their own sexual desires. And as women age, I think they feel more comfortable, at least feeling like, hey, I should be getting something out of this experience too. So that's kind of what I see, at least in practice.
Yeah. Do you think that's the trend? Like, cause you know, the feminist movement, like, women are more stronger now, and, you know, are the breadwinners now. Remember how we talked about women are getting married later because they're focusing not on
Career. I mean,
but they're focusing on career,
They're
not
not focusing on
homemaking.
their relationship, and being, like, staying at home or whatever.
Yeah.
They're focusing on, like, their own, like, needs as a human.
Well, I do think, I mean, even when I think about just TV programming, so, you know, I was in my late 20s, I guess I was in my 30s when Sex and the City came out.
I was about to mention that show.
And that show really, like, was the first experience I had where I saw on TV women who wanted to have sex and even casual sex and didn't feel embarrassed or ashamed of it. And so I think, the culture has shifted in that way. And this is why I said earlier that I have a gripe about sex education, because the sex education that we're given is so abysmal in the United States. And so, you know, we feel entitled to our own sexual encounters, but then we really don't know anything about our bodies or how the body works or how to talk about it. And this is something I think European cultures do really well, and we could learn from them. They teach kids these things when they're in school. And we don't even, I mean, unless you take sexuality in college.
I remember, I was watching one of the, either Good Morning America or the Today Show. I forgot what it was. And they couldn't even say penis because they were like, wait, that's the scientific term? Like, really? And, like, they were, like, giggling about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's penis is the scientific term.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. See, again, there's rules, right? Rules, things you can't see on TV, and then rules like you can't have sex on the first date. You can't, you can't kiss on the first date. I think that's a problem too. There's all these rules that we kind of grew up listening to.
Yes.
But I think now we should break that, right? Like sex on a third date. Have you guys heard?
I have heard that. I think the first time I heard that was on Big Bang. Was it Big Bang Theory?
I didn't watch that show.
So I think that's the first time I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a rule.
Yeah.
I was so busy having sex on the first date. I didn't know I had to wait till 2 more dates.
Yeah. So what else? What other rules are there? I don't know. I think just the big one is sex on the first date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not having sex on the first date.
And I grew up. I didn't grow up in a small town, but there were sometimes it was a small town mentality, and it depended on, like, where you were. And so I remember there was this one time, this girl I went to school with, and she was known, I think, since we were in middle school for, like, having sex, right? So, like, always everybody was like, nobody really wanted to be her friend, but yet somehow she was, like, popular. And it was so funny because she was really good friends with this other girl that we all grew up with too, who was very by the book, church leader, like town darling, I guess I would call her. And they were friends. And then I remember one day she was talking about this other girl, and she was like, And she's like, and oh my gosh, we went to that concert last night, and so-and-so, like, you know, talking about the other girl, like, met this guy, and she was like, all right, like, I'll be right back. And then she comes back, like, 20 minutes later, and you know that she had sex with him. And she was like, I just don't know, like, how she does that. Like, how does she end up just having sex with a random stranger? Like, I could never do that, so I just don't know how she could do that. And I, like, in my head, I'm like, that's your friend. Like, you choose to hang out with her. Like,
yeah, and
very judgy.
And that might have been fine for her friend.
Yeah,
you know?
for her friend, it was totally fine. I mean, she, you know, sexually active, and she like was not ashamed of it either.
But I think that speaks to the double standard we have in our culture, which is, you know, we have this expectation that, or we have. I know I felt as a teen like I'm supposed to know all the stuff about sex, but I'm not supposed to do it, which is, you know, such a double standard. And then where do you get your education from? Usually it's from sources that may not depict what sex really is like, because it's really not like an important
thing.
It's because, you know, we have because we're from Texas, so we get the whole like be celibate.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was 8th grade.
I'm like, no.
I know. You're like,
message.
No. It was a girl, and I remember this so clearly. I don't know why. She told us a story about how she chose to have sex, and it just, like, you know, her heart was broken. It did not go well. So she decided to, you know, once again, like, reclaim her celibacy. And so she was a born again virgin or some crap.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I hear that all the time.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, like, when I started being celibate, they would call me that. I was like, no, that sounds stupid.
Well, and to me, it's kind of heartbreaking because what it speaks to is the person's shame around their own sexual history, and that they think of themselves as less than in some way because they, you know, maybe had encounters that they're having second thoughts about. I find it a little heartbreaking. But I was a teen before you guys, and
really?
I know. I think the celibacy or the you know, waiting. What was it? It's like the promise you make. I forget what it's called, but that really was a 90s thing that came out of maybe more evangelical churches, and I kind of miss that. I mean, the churches I attended certainly said don't do it until you're married, but everybody knew they were just kidding. So, but then in the 90s, there was definitely the what is it called? It's like. Not what you just said.
Are you talking about like the forced, almost like promise ring?
Yeah. What is that?
So, because I grew up in that too. So it was, but I was too old when it came around. So it was basically like you have this like 3-week or 2-week like lecture about like what celibacy means. And of course, like, religious is brought into it to like educate us on like, you know, what the word says and how we have to, like, the purpose of this is to stay celibate because we have to wait till marriage because blah 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 blah, and all these examples. And so at the end of it, you get to order a promise ring, and so you get a promise ring, and then everybody signs a contract saying that they are choosing to stay celibate until marriage. And so, and then there's a lot of peer pressure around it too, because if you're the only person that's not doing it, then it's like, well, are you planning on having sex now?
And it's not about like, if that really is your desire and value you have, I think that's fine. I think what happens, or what I see at least, is that there's so much pressure then on the couple when they finally do have sex. And because they've waited so long, and so there's this built up, pent up expectation around what that moment's going to be like, and if it doesn't match, there's a lot of disappointment and shame and grief. I waited all this time,
right?
It's not what I thought.
Did y'all ever see Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
I have, but it didn't stay with me.
Okay, so it's the redhead. He was also in 30 Rock, and he's a newlywed couple. In the same resort that they all are. And so he is like, we waited until marriage, and he's like, it's not going well. And so Alta Snow, Russell Brand's character is like teaching him how to have sex with his wife so that like it's not as scary for him.
Because I think he has had sex with his wife, right? Is that part of the movie?
They had, yes. No. Russell Brand didn't have sex with his wife.
Okay.
No.
Okay, different movie.
Different movie.
Yeah. Maybe this was a porn I was watching the other night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But that's a good point because with the celibacy thing, I have like 4 friends that are celibate, and they asked me this question about, I keep dating these guys on Bumble and Tinder. They say they're okay with me being celibate, but they're always hinting at having sex and trying to have sex with me. Like, what do I do? And will I always be single? That's what they ask me. And I'm like, you just got to keep trying, and you'll find the right guy. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the if somebody shared with me that their desire for themselves was to remain celibate, or no matter what their desire for themselves is, actually, it doesn't even have to be around sex. But I'm going to respect the person for what they want and want to support them in that. If it doesn't match my own desires, then it's probably not a match. Like, if my expectation is that they should change their mind to accommodate me, then that's probably not healthy.
Yeah.
So, my guess is that there are males who match their values. My guess is. So it's just, how do you find that right person? The thing I'm curious about is, I want to talk to the guy that puts the pressure on the girl once he's heard that her desire for herself is to wait till marriage. Because I think it's really interesting that you get that information and then you decide you're going to change their mind. I'm like, well, I'm curious about that.
Yeah. And this friend is beautiful. And I'm like, this is not the only guy in the world. I think she's kind of clinging to him because she thinks she can't find anybody better. Which is not right, not true, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and then I'd wonder, like, what other topics that are of importance, how else does this play out? Because one of the things I notice in working with couples is that sex is really a metaphor oftentimes for other aspects of the relational dynamic. Not always, but often I notice that. So, because what she's doing is expressing something that's really important to her, and she is looking for support in it. And so if, the person is kind of trying to convince her or talk her into something else, maybe she should look at that. And what does that mean for the relationship?
Yeah, I will say that at the beginning of my celibacy, I struggled with just encompassing everything into what sex was, right? Or being able to, like, not having, like, coitus is fine. I can still have oral. So I struggled with finding out.
Wait, what's the difference between coitus and oral?
Penis, vagina versus mouth.
Penetrative sex versus,
So I like struggled at the beginning, like, with that, right? So, like, there was a little few of, like, trial and error. And then eventually I was like, and it got to the point where I was like, is masturbation also a part of this? Like, am I supposed to, like, because this is my own role, like, this was my own thing that I wanted to do. And yes, a little bit was based on, like, just religious upbringing and like values. But I was like, trial and error, like, I don't know what to do. So, like, it was
What'd you do, Emma? I'm so curious.
She masturbated.
I know.
Every day.
Lots of oral sex.
At the beginning, like, oral sex was not a part of it. And so that was kind of fun. But then I was like, I think I want to see if I'm going to go all in, like, I want to go all in. And then it got towards the end, it got to the point, like, maybe like 2 years in, was like, even masturbation was, like, not even a part of it for a while. Because I just wanted to see if, like, I wanted to, like, to challenge myself is what it came down to see if I could or couldn't. And then towards the end, I was like, no, let's bring it back. Let's bring masturbation back because.
But is it all about the orgasm, though? Or did it?
In terms of.
Like, you just wanted to get to the orgasm. So it didn't matter which method you used, or were you really, did you like a particular method?
Wow, that's very deep. I don't even ask that question. No, I'm kidding.
No? Because, like, for guys,
I also don't get what you're asking.
Well, because for guys, it's like, as long as we have orgasm, most of us, we're good. It doesn't matter whether it's oral or, we're masturbating.
Okay.
You know?
And
I get
I
it.
would say like to me, like I could imagine a couple like the one you just shared, like similar to your friend, if she says, well, I agree to oral sex, that the guy would say, yeah, but why not penetrative sex? So,
Or if you're worried about, if I put it in your vagina, I can't just put it up your butt. Like, I feel like that would be like the next.
Yeah.
I think people. So, to me, if anybody's pressuring you to do something you don't really want to do, and they're not supporting a choice you're making that you think is for your own self edification or development as a person, then you need to probably really think about that relationship. And
Yeah. At the
That's
beginning,
where I
I
land
didn't
on
know
that.
where my boundaries were. So I was like, well, I don't have sex, but like, I'll do oral, kind of a deal. And like, that was always like a compromise. But then I was like, no, I don't even want to do that anymore because I really want to like see if I can.
You can see if you
go
can
without sex.
Oh, so it's like a test for you.
It was for a while, yeah.
Was it?
And I think it depends on why the person is being celibate, because some people are doing it for religious reasons.
Oh,
And
these are most of my friends. Too,
yeah,
religious
and then I think that from when I've talked to people who are making that decision for religious reasons, the fear is that they're going to put themselves, if they increase different kinds of other sexual behaviors, that they're going to put themselves in a position where they may not be able to say no. It's like if you decide not to drink, you may not go to the bar, because you might put yourself in a position where you may not want to say no. But so, I think that again, if a partner is pressuring you to do stuff you don't want to do, that may translate into other aspects of your life, not just sex.
Yeah, and I think Mary talks about a common theme. I know we've been talking forever, and we can talk forever, but Mary talks about the values, like matching values.
Yeah.
And I dated somebody maybe a year ago where she did not want kids, and I want to have kids, and then we ended up not, breaking it off because of that. And so that's the same thing with being celibate. And, so.
Right. And it's a mature decision.
I'm so evolved right now.
Yeah,
I'm just
totally.
And I, as a couples therapist, I really appreciate that, because I usually get the couple where they decided, oh, we'll figure it out later, and they're married,
and later
and then,
comes.
yeah. And then it becomes an issue. So I think, as a person who's dated, as a person who's loved people, like when you decide to walk away from something because the values don't match, and you really can't find a compromise, I think that says how much you respect the other person and how much you respect yourself. And that's something to really be admired.
Emma, what do you have? Any more questions for Mary? Anything? We went through a lot.
We did.
And I feel like we don't even scratch the surface with Mary. I feel like we can get super deep with stuff.
What can I say? Go deep.
Go deep.
Always.
Go deep and go home.
Let me see. Oh, we had just one quick question.
Yeah.
We had a couple here that was in what do they call it? An open relationship. I felt like the guy wanted it more than she did. She was kind of talked into it. But then she says, I like it now. I like it. But I feel like she doesn't like it.
And so I would say, I don't know where you were going with that, but I picked up on the gendered part of it. And I've had just as many females as clients who really wanted to convince their male partners to be in open relationships. So I really don't think this is about the man convincing the woman. But when a couple is exploring that option, it's again, we're talking about the values. We always start there. What does it mean? Why now? What are the rules? Because when you decide to open up your relationship like that, it usually comes with quite a bit of rules. And I think people do it sometimes. They're trying to safeguard their relationship against infidelity.
Oh,
and
wow.
The reality is that even couples in open marriages have infidelity.
Right.
So it's not necessarily going to net you that solution. But, it's becoming more, it's actually a a type of couple that I'm seeing more and more of. So I don't know if that means there's more of them, or they just happen to be finding their way to me. But I mean, we all got options.
So what's the age group that you typically see as far as couples?
So adults.
Well, I hope
adults.
so.
I mean, most adults, it depends on what they're coming in for. So I'd say, I've had couples in their early 20s, but I'd say most people are around like 28 on up.
Okay. So 30 plus ish.
Yeah.
So for the 30 plus ish single person, are there any like tips or recommendations or something like that about specifically sex? I mean, you've talked a lot about values, but I mean, what do you have for them?
That's a good question. Do I have tips for sex for 30 somethings?
Yes, we're single.
Yeah, actually, if I could give one tip, and I don't know if this will get to what you want, but it's know yourself sexually first before you try to get to know somebody else, and take responsibility for your own pleasure instead of handing the responsibility over to the partner.
And being unsatisfied because he didn't satisfy me.
Yes. Because really, when you can go into a sexual encounter knowing that is for you and not for the other person, and you can take charge of that, of your own pleasure, like that can really make the difference in your sexual encounters. And I think, and when I talk to men, what men usually tell me is that they appreciate a partner who knows what they want and can give them feedback.
Yeah.
And so I think, if most of your listeners are...
Is it during sex or after, or does it matter?
Even during, like even some direction, like, I like that, do more of that. I think a lot of men I see appreciate that because they're not sure if what they're doing is right,
Right.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So for women, really understanding your own body, understanding what you like, and then being able to communicate that to your partner, that's probably the number one thing I would recommend.
Communication.
Yeah, you got to talk.
Nice. That's the hardest part.
I know.
It starts with that too.
But here's the analogy I would give. Like, if you're going on a date and you wanted to make the person's favorite meal, let's say you're going to cook, because you're not me. Because I wouldn't do that.
You have cooked me soup before.
I have cooked, and I'm not bad at it. But if you were going to prepare your date partner's favorite meal, you would need to know what it was, and you may even need the recipe. So, this is about communicating, getting the information so that you can make sure they're getting what they want. And it applies to sex too.
Oh, that's so deep. I like that one.
Isn't that?
Okay, Emma, what do you have to take away from this whole conversation about a ton of questions and topics of sex, even things that Mary hates, which I learned a few things that she hates.
I knew Mary wasn't a huge fan of Texas. I already knew that already.
Oh.
So.
But I've come a long way.
You have come a long way. Yeah. She really has.
You agree?
I agree with everything that Mary says.
Yeah. I agree too. And I agree that what Mary says, like, it doesn't, there's no rules. It doesn't matter. Like, what matters is your values, right?
Right. Well, I mean, there is a rule. It's consent. So be sure that these encounters are consensual.
We should do a whole episode on consent.
Yes.
Because that needs to be talked about.
I agree.
Back.
And we'll talk specifically about that. And just maybe.
I would love to, because I think it's a problem.
Yeah. Because I saw there's a question about, I had sex with a guy, but I don't remember what happened. And I woke up and all I remember is my clothes were on the floor, but I think I enabled it because I was so drunk. So there's questions like that we could have really delved deep into, but we didn't have time. So next time.
Yeah. Bring me back. I'd love to.
Okay.
All
right, Emma. Can you close us out, or do we even close this?
We don't even close out anymore. We just say bye.
Mary, where can we find you?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. You can find me on the website wefixbrains.com. I'm in a private practice called Lifeology, and you can find me there.
Okay, and we have her on Instagram, right?
We do have her on Insta.
Thanks, guys.
All her things we have on Instagram, so we'll promote that. Okay, all right, everyone. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
We'll see everyone.
You guys, it's going to be 100 next week.
100th.
100
This is a big one.
episode.
This is 99.
99.
Oh,
Yeah, 99.
Who's 100? Is it just a podcast?
I think it's just going to be
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be us because we
Okay.
started with 1. And we'll start with, it'll be just us for 100.
You started with 1? Yeah. you
Yeah.
did,
With
didn't
number
you?
1. All right, guys. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Date Podcast. Please subscribe and review if you liked what you hear. Send us an email at hello@datepodcast.com for any questions, comments, or show topics you'd like for us to discuss. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Most importantly, tell your friends about our show.